Hello and welcome back to rigging a simple bipedal character rig. So we are going to make a very simple spine rig, and we're just going to use an FK control system to do that. Remember how I described previously that FK stands for forward kinematics. All right, we're going to start by making a joint that is going to be basically even with the tops of the hips. So what I'm going to actually do is I'm going to go into the right view, okay? And I'm going to click on my create joint tool. Remember, we've added this to our shelf. If you don't have it on your shelf, you can go to skeleton, create joint. And I'm going to put my little pointer over here, but I'm actually going to press V. And when I do that and hit enter, it looks like I have a joint superimposed over my hip joints, but I'm not in joint mode. So I've created this brand new joint. And the only other issue is it needs to be at the center of the grid. So let's go into front view. And let's show our grid. So I'm just going to press X and make it so that this joint is smack dab in between my two hip joints. Now, obviously, if your character is moved to a different area other than the center of the grid, you might want to use a temporary point constraint to point this joint in between the two hips. So I want it completely even with the hips. So let's take a look at the X, Y, and Z axis of this guy. So we're gonna hit Q to be in select mode and hit LRA to show my local rotation axis. So my spine is going to be pointing upwards, so I want my x-axis to be pointing upwards here. I'm going to go into my attribute editor, and it looks like that is going to need to be in the Z. Let's do 90 degrees in the Z. All right, so my x is pointing up, but I need my z-axis here pointing to the side. And let's see, let's experiment there. I might just have to, Oh, okay, so 180 maybe? Let's try 180. All right, so that gets my Z forward and my Y to the side. I want my Y actually pointing backwards. And let's just experiment. There we go. Okay, so this is actually, interesting. It should have been -90. Now, once again, I want to point out that I've been having some issues with the segment scale compensate here. And so sometimes unchecking it gets it so that everything is pointing in the correct direction. All right, so our X is pointing up, our Y is pointing back, and our Z is pointing out to the side, which is what we wanted. And what we're going to do is just duplicate this a couple of times. Now, this is a more complex character. Typically what we would do is we would make a spine twist for this, but because this is such an introductory class, we're not going to make the spine twist with a spline IK. We're not going to do that in this lesson. We're just going to be duplicating this set of joints and moving them. Let's go to the side view. So I'm actually going to snap these joints. So I'm press X, which allows us to snap to different portions of the grid. Since this is just going to be such a simple rig, really what we want to make is a lower body, and then an upper body, and then a neck joint. So we're trying to move it up. That's what I thought. Let's try X. There we go. So I want to move this to actually the base. So I'm just going to move it up just a little bit. And all of these are pointing in the right direction, which is great. So we are going to now parent them. So remember, we always select the child first, and then we select our parent. So we're going to start with joint 4, select joint 3, and hit P to parent. And we're just going to keep going through and down the line. All right. So now that we have all of these selected, let's hit hierarchy and turn off our local rotation axes. And we're going to name our joints. So joint 1 is going to be BN for bind, underscore, I guess we call it SP for spine, underscore A01. That seems good. Copy. This is going to be B, define B. This is going to be C. And then this is going to be B. Now, the reason I'm not naming it BE is because we are going to have a neck joint for this character. So because we're going to have a neck joint at some point, that's going to be parented to the end of the spine. So we don't need it to be BE at this point. All right, so now that we've done that, we need to make a series of controls. So we're going to have a lower body control, we're going to have an upper body control and all that fun stuff. But we're also going to parent the hips. So I'm going to select these two hip joints, shift select the spine A joint and hit P to parent. So now whenever we have our controls, you know, they're going to move in conjunction with our actual hips, which is great. So let's save this, and then let's save it as something new. I'm going to do save scene as, and we're going to save this as spine 02. All right. So about controls, we want to use a box control. Now, if you're using the pre-made rigging shelf that I provide for the class, you can hit the thing called BCC here. So you can hit BCC, and that's going to make a box control curve. But if you want to make it from scratch, what we're going to do is we're going to go to the channels here and turn off the visibility of our character. And then we're going to create a CV curve tool, make sure it's one linear. And then we're just going to press X and snap to the grid. Now, I believe I went through this before, but it's always good in a previous video. It's always good to show these again. I'm going to hit Control D to duplicate. Now, we can duplicate this or rotate this by clicking X90 or Z90. You can always do that. Remember, you can move it up just one and Y, and it'll be flush with the grid. The other way that you can rotate things perfectly is, so let's duplicate this, and let's double click on rotate. So if we double click on rotate here, there's an option called step snap. So we can turn that on, and we can step snap at 90 degrees. So if you don't have the mouse script and you don't want to even try with the mouse scripting, that's fine. We can just turn on the step snap, and now when I rotate, it rotates perfectly 90 degrees. Now, the good news is it rotates at 90 degrees. The bad news is it only rotates at 90 degrees. So if we go back to E, make sure to turn step snap off when you're done, because otherwise you will only be able to rotate at 90 degrees, which can get really frustrating really quickly. So we're going to move over in the X, -0.5. Just kidding, we're going to move over in the Z. I'm actually going to snap this. Let's do X and snap over. So this is back to 0, and then we're going to move one point in -X, translate X. I'm going to duplicate this one more time, move it forward, and then duplicate this side and move it back. So now we have a cube, but we have a cube that is made up of 5 curves. So how do we make this one curve? Well, we're going to go to display in our outliner and show shapes. And then we want to show all of our shape nodes except for curve 1. And before we actually put in the mouse script, we are going to freeze transformations, delete history, and center pivot for every single one of our square curves. Then I'm going to go and control select 4 of these shape nodes. And for curve 1, I'm going to select the actual curve itself. I'm going to go down to my Mel line, and unfortunately you can't see this right now, but I'm going to be typing the following. I'm going to be typing parent space dash R space dash shape. And then I'm going to hit enter. And what that does is that now it has parented all my shape nodes to my actual curve. So I'm going to go and not show the shapes anymore and just get rid of these empty nodes. And I have this wonderful box curve here. So we could have used the PST tool as well up on our shelf, and that would have been super helpful as well. So we're going to need 2 of these, and one of these we are going to name CC underscore upper body 01, oopsie, 01, and then the other one is going to be CC underscore lower body 01, okay? So obviously for the lower body, we are going to be snapping it. Now, you might want to snap it to down here. The upper body is going to be snapped to here. And then we're going to have a center of gravity control. And that one, let me see. You know what? I actually think I want my lower body control maybe to go here. We'll play around with it. All right. So first things first is snapping it. So it's already snapped here. I do want to center my pivot. So I want to center my pivot for both of my controls. They didn't have their pivots centered. So then if we do that, this is centered here. We can grab the upper body and snap it up here. And we could also just do a mid-body control as well. And I'll show you how the whole FK system works. All right, so let's actually snap this down here. We're going to freeze transformations. We are going to go into component mode and make it so that our control is actually selectable. Right now it's inside the character's body. It's completely useless for us, the animators, or even if you're not going to be the animator, your animator will not be happy with you if he or she cannot actually select their control. So I'm just going to move this forward. And there we go. So this is one control. Let's put this back in template mode. Here's another control. See, we wouldn't have even known there was a control there. It was so perfectly inside the character's body. So we can go like this. We can move it up. Right? We can shape it a little bit. Just as long as it's selectable. It needs to be selectable. And that's about it. And then if we want to do kind of a mid-body control, why don't we make that a circle? We'll just make that a circle, and it's already snapped where it needs to be. And we are going to call this CC underscore mid-body 01. This is our mid-body control, okay? And we are going to freeze transformations, delete history, and we're going to go into component mode. We're going to make it larger. So we're going to make it so that it is surrounded by, or it is surrounding the body. All right, and you know what? We can actually move it up a bit. All right. So now we have these 3 controls, and we need to get them to move. So if we want our character to be able to, we really only want the body controls to, at least the upper and mid, to rotate the body. We don't want it translating the body, so we're going to be using an orient constraint. All right, so we're actually going to be doing what we've done in previous tutorials, where we create a locator that acts as the driver to the joint, and then parent that driver locator to the control. So I'm actually going to use the LAT tool to speed up my process. And here it is. And as you can see, it's already named accordingly. Let's make it a little bit smaller. Let's make it 0.5. And we are then just going to select that, shift select our corresponding joint, and constrain orient, make sure maintain offset is unchecked, and click add. All right, so now if we move this It moves it, which is great. Okay, so then what we are going to do is make sure our upper body control is actually had its transformations frozen. So we're going to select this locator, shift select the upper body control, and hit P to parent. And now it should move the character, and it does. All right, so the next control is going to be this mid body, and we are going to click LAT again. And here is my locator. I'm going to make it smaller. Let's make it 0.5. And as you can see, it is named appropriately. And we're going to, with it selected, shift select the joint and constrain orient. And then we are going to select the locator, shift select our mid body control, hit P to parent, and then let's test it out. All right. Okay, it does work. I was like, what is going on here? All right, it is moving a little bit awkwardly in the rotate. Why? Might be that our control isn't quite centered. Looks like it is. Oh, it's because we had both of these selected? Maybe that's why. No. All right, so it is rotating. It's doing what it needs to do. All right, so for this last one, I actually want this to translate as well as rotate. So I'm actually going to do this from scratch. I'm going to make a locator, and I'm going to press V to snap it to my spine A joint. I'm going to name it locators, because it's kind of all the attributes, underscore SP underscore A01. So that's what this locator is going to be oriented to. I'm going to select my joint, select the locator, and constrain parent. Okay. And apply. Then I'm going to delete that parent constraint. I don't need any more. I'm going to select my locator, shift select my joint A, and constrain parent again. And this should move everything. So if I hit W, should move it. It does. I can move this down and up. That's great. I should also be able to rotate it. And I can. Fantastic. All right, let's make this smaller. We're going to make it 0.5. And now that it works, what we can do is we can, with this selected, shift select our lower body control and hit P to parent. So now if I select my lower body control, hit W, I can hit E, W to move, E to rotate, and it works. All right, I'm going to show, finish up the spine, and then we will pause the video, or stop the video, and the next video will be the head, neck, eyes. So to finish this up, let's first parent these controls from one another. So this is my child control. So my upper body control here, I'm going to parent to my mid body control. So I'm going to hit P to parent. Now when I have my mid body control, when I rotate it, as you can see, it has the whole upper body there. With my mid body 01 control selected, I'm going to shift select the lower body and hit P to parent. And so now everything is selected, it all moves. Isn't that fantastic? Yippee skippy. And lastly, what I want to do, you'll notice that I'm saving and saving often. Let's save the scene as something different, just in case things crash. Let's name it as 03. Is I want to color this. Now I have my Mel script colors up here. So if I select this one, I can just hit C yellow, and this is now a yellow control. So all my mid-body controls are going to be yellow. If I wanted to, I can also go into the attribute editor, as you recall. Let's close this up. So we'll go to the shape node, object display, and then drawing overrides, enable overrides, and then we would find the color yellow. All right. And then for this last one, I'm just going to use the Mel script, and everything is now yellow. All right. To finish this up, I really need to clean up my outliner and clean up my controls. So under my global move 01, I'm going to put my joints into the joint group, and then I'm going to put all my control curves into the control objects group. So now every single one of my controls goes there. All right. I think I am missing actually my knee controls. And so I'm going to go back to a separate video and create some knee controls, and we'll do that step by step. All right. Till next time. Bye-bye.